We are at the point of our bookmark project where we're ready to begin stitching. It typically doesn't matter where you begin stitching in a design. Other than that, you should start at the end of or a corner of a design. So on the heart, for example, I wouldn't start right here and go down or up. I would start either right here at the point or right here at the bottom point. On the S, I would either start on this end or this end, with the N here or here. Same with this S, and same with this heart. If you do have a layered design where maybe you're trying to show a shadow, you would want to start with the back layer first and then build on the back layer coming forward, because the last thing you stitch will be on top of everything else. I'm gonna put my initials in black. Remember, when you are threading your needle, some tips that might help are to just twist those threads together. If that's still not helping, you can always add a little bit of water to them so that they stick together. And remember to hold them right at the edge, put them through the eye of the needle. Then you're going to match your threads, the ends of your threads, put them together as if they are one thread. Smooth those out. Okay, so I have my two tails and my needle at the other end of those two tails. At this point, I can loop the tail around my fingers, pinching where it overlaps, take the loop off, and tuck the tail back to front through the loop. Pull that tight. As I pull it tight, I'm going to slide it towards the end of my thread and clip it. When I begin stitching, I always need to remember to hide my knots at the back of the fabric. Okay, we're gonna put our design here. The back will have all of the knots, all of the random stray stitches where you are trying to get from one letter to the other. That will all be on here. And then when we're all done, we will cover it up with the second piece of fabric and stitch around the outside edge. So it's all hidden on the inside and no one will ever see those stitches. So at this point, you should be working with just your front piece of fabric that you want your design on. I'm gonna start right here at the top of this curly Q. So I'm gonna do my beginning stitch. That will also be my beginning knot. Up, pull it almost snug. So down, pull it snug. And at this point, I would separate the threads before my knot and sew through that loop. So up and down and through the loop. It is the exact same way that we did it on our practice card, so that should be very familiar. Notice I pulled it snug, got rid of any stray threads or loops. Now at this point, you should flip over your project and be working from the front side again. The only time we want to lay our fabric down and work like that is at the knot stops, so the very beginning and the very end. I'm going to do a back stitch on this so that it looks like a solid line. So I'm going to sew up, forward, down, back to my last stitch, making sure I'm trying to get in the exact same position where that last stitch ended, so there is no yellow space in between them. Once again, up, forward, and down, back. You can see I'm doing a curve, so my stitches on this small tiny curve should match, meaning it's a small tiny curve, so I want small tiny stitches. If I was doing this long straight line right here, my stitches could be a little bit longer because it is a straight line. But on a little curve, you want it to make it look like a curve, not like a bunch of straight lines put together. So you want the stitches to be nice and small. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and continue sewing my project. When I am finished with this thread, maybe getting close to running out, I stop, tie a knot, and get a new thread and start right back where I was. You can stop at any point to get a new thread, and it's always best to stop and get a new thread before you are so close to running out that it's going to be difficult to tie a knot. All right, I am gonna stop right here, flip my fabric over and tie my end knot because I'm starting to run low on thread. I could try and make it to the end there, and I might, but tying the knot is gonna be a lot more difficult, so it's not really worth that extra risk. So I'm gonna stop here. I have under the stitch right here, wherever my last full stitch was, pull it almost snug, and then go through the loop the same direction that you sewed. Pull that tight, under the stitch, whip it around, through the loop, pull it tight, and one last time, under the stitch, whip it around and through the loop. Pull that tight. Now, once I clip this, I'm going to show you the front again. Set my needle aside. And you would never know that there is a knot or that I ended stitching there. Once I continue on with my next thread, at this point, I have my new thread ready to go, and I want to continue on as if I never stopped, other than that I do need to tie a knot. So I'm going to sew up forward because I'm doing the back stitch, and down back to my last stitch right there. I'm going to pull that almost tight, flip my fabric over, and separate the threads next to the needle, or next to the knot, excuse me, and sew through that loop. So I went up and down and through the loop. That knot is hidden on the back, and I can continue sewing. Depending on where your next design is, maybe I was going to sew this heart also black. Because I'm so close, I could just pop right over there and begin stitching that heart. However, if I did not want to be sewing my heart next, maybe I wanted to come all the way over here to my N, at this point I would stop, tie a knot. No knot is needed if you're going to continue on with the same color and the design is close. But if you are going to go further across, or more than an inch or two, then you would want to tie a knot so that your back doesn't get too crazy. And also because that long thread can sometimes cause problems when you are trying to do other parts of your design. So at this point, I am going to continue stitching, finish up my design, and then I will show you how to connect the front piece to the back piece.
because I'm being careful and I'm focusing. Can you make another? Is that your second one? No. Oh. Get back, please. What does psych mean? Can I see how this boy video for my students. It is not for fun. I love your drums, but that is not for in my video. I want you to put it under the Christmas tree where it belongs, if that's a gift. Is it bedroom clean? No. Then go. will see when it's done. Just like the rest. Is your room clean?